Greetings, adventurers, and well met. Master of Dungeons here, Master of Dungeons Twitch channel, twitch.tv/The Master of Dungeons, where we discuss all things Dungeons and Dragons, except for on Mondays. Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's having a great day. It is time for Tavern Talks with the Shifty Boar, where we discuss topics of D&D, some of the new stuff coming out, things like that. Currently, we are going over the Playtest 7 for the One D&D, the new Dungeons and Dragons books for the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons coming out next year, 2024. And last week we discussed the barbarians, and it looks like today we're going to go through some of the different fighter things. Again, this is all my reaction, just my opinions. Everyone's obviously welcome to their own opinions, but here on my channel is just going to kind of give my own honest first reactions, because I have not previously read any of this. Like when we get finished today, I'll just close it down, and then next week when we have our Wednesday stream for Tavern Talks again, we'll bring it right back up. And it's actually my initial first reaction to reading the material and seeing what they've changed. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We'll probably only be able to stream for about an hour or so today. Yesterday we were able to go 2 hours. We might go a little bit longer today. We'll see what happens when it gets to the time there, and all that. But we are here on the fighter. So again, here are the updates from the previous playtests. Of course, if you want to playtest this material, you can grab the documents on my Discord server. You can go to the D&D Beyond website, and you can go to Wizards D&D website as well to get this playtest material. And you can use the 2014 Player's Guide and change some of the rules from the playtest instead of using all the stuff in the book. All right, fighting style. Now let's replace the feat you choose whenever you gain a fighter level, because they did make fighting styles feats now. Inspired by martial versatility and Tasha's Call of Everything. Second wind now also restores one expended use of on a short rest. I always thought that was, you always got your second wind back after a short rest anyway. 6 mastery options instead of 5. Action Surge now allows any action except the magic action. Once again, improves at level 17. Tactical Mind is a new level 2 feature which allows the fighter to excel in or out of combat. So that's right there. Studied attacks. Must be having something to do with Tactical Mind. So you still get 3 attacks total at 11th, and you get 4 attacks at 20th level. I'd really like to see them move this to somewhere else here. Fighter subclass and ability score improvements return to their 2014 levels. That's good, because the fighter gets the most feats out of all the classes. And it should be that. At least in my opinion, anyway. Got another viewer. Welcome in. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Tactical Shift is now a new 5th level ability that allows you to move without provoking opportunity attacks when you activate your second wind. That's actually a pretty cool idea. I like that a lot. Master of Armaments replaces Weapon Expert and Weapon Adept at level 9. This new feature lets you change the mastery properties of all your mastery weapons. And Donald once confers more uses at higher levels, which is good. Something I'd really love to see them do with the fighter is I completely get the concept of crit failures and crit successes, but I really would love for them to see a fight, especially for fighters, or a feat perhaps, maybe that someone could gain, obviously having some different prerequisites or something for it, but something that, I don't know, it's really hard for me to see that a fighter that has like a plus 16 to hit when they're in higher levels rolls a 1 would hit an armor class of 17, you're fighting against a zombie that has an AC of 10 or something like that, or an ooze, or something that's got a really low armor class, and it's still considered a critical miss. Because they have lots of different things when you look at adventures. If you succeed by 5 or more, or if you fail by 5 or more, then add something in similar to that. So like if you rolled a natural 1 and the creature had an AC of 12, let's say, your roll still exceeded the hit point of the armor class by 5, so it would still be a hit instead of a critical miss. But who knows, they might put something like that in. Or just do it homebrew. All right. Hit points same, strength and con, all weapons, all armor. Nothing really changed there. It's got stuff if you want to multi-class playtesting. All right, standard fighter. This is what every fighter gets. Level 1 fighting style. If you honed your martial prowess, get a fighting style feat of your choice. Those feats have this feature as a prerequisite. Whenever you gain a fighter level, you can replace the feat you choose with a different fighting style feat. Second wind, you have limited well of physical and mental stamina that you can draw on as a bonus action. You can use it to regain hit points equal to die 10 plus your fighter level. You can use this feature twice. You regain 1 expended use when you finish a short rest, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. See, the older feature was you got it back on a short rest, which means that, because in the Dungeon Master's Guide, they expect you to have 2 to 3 short rests during a day of adventuring, which would get it to where it'd be similar, I guess, the same thing if you have 3 short rests, because you can use it twice, and you get one of them back after when you finish a short rest. So you're actually able to use it once more, because you can use your second wind, and then you can use your second wind again, so that's twice, and then you get a short rest, you get one of it back. You get a short rest, you get one of them back. See, it's nice that you can use it twice now before you have to take a short rest to get it back, but it's just, again, more complications when they keep talking about how they're trying to streamline things and make them simpler. Train with weapons, use the weapon mastery. My big thing that I'm wanting them to be mindful about is they're adding in, it's kind of like towards the end of the second edition, you started having skills and powers and all of that stuff, which was, interesting and fun. And then it got into third edition. Third edition became so overly complicated with all the extra feats, all the extra bonuses here and there, that it became really, really a haul to play a game. Whereas advanced D&D, first edition basically, or the basic expert and companions, such like that, made the games more fun and story oriented, so where you weren't so hung up on the mechanics of the game. And fifth edition had a really nice balance of having some mechanics that are really fun and everything like that, but also at the same time brought back more of the story, at least in my opinion. And it just seems like by adding weapon mastery, by adding all these extra things, they're just adding more mechanics into a game. When they wanted to make it simple, they'd leave some of it the way it is, just adjust a few things here and there. Or instead of making all these different martial weapon masteries and such like that, give more actions in combat. So like you have your normal actions in combat, but then if you have a fighter, you have a couple of additional actions that you can take in combat and break it down that way instead of adding more stuff to different weapons and things like that. Action surge, take one additional action instead of the magic action. You get action surge back after a short rest. All right, here's the new ability, Tactical Mind. You have Mind for Tactics, getting the upper hand on and off the battlefield. When you fail an ability check, you can expend your use of Second Wind to push yourself towards success. So they gave you an extra use of Second Wind so that you could use another ability that they've added in. And then, of course, if you don't get the ability check, then you don't expend Second Wind. They need to make changes to player stuff so players buy more books. They found that most books are bought by DMs, which is a small demographic. Possibly. I mean, it has become the point where, I mean, don't get me wrong, I completely understand companies want to make money, but with Wizards of the Coast being pushed by Hasbro to make money, it kind of does put all the demographic of the players on the back burner. And yeah, of course, I don't mind them, doing reprints and stuff like that. Reprint things, do new books. Understandably, you want to do new books. I mean, fifth edition will be 10 years old next year, and D&D will be 50 years old next year. But what I'm talking about though too is that, like, adding all this extra things to complicate this stuff instead of streamlining it. Because of the fact that they want to sell new books, as you mentioned, they want to sell product, and in order to sell product, you have to attract new customers. And if you make the game more complicated instead of making it less complicated, you're going to, if you make it less complicated, you're going to attract newer players. It's going to be easier for them to learn. I saw something that said the Wizards the highest grossing. Oh, I'm sure it is. Probably most of that is magic too. So you can use Second Wind to roll a die 10 and add the number rolled to the ability check, turning it into a potential success. If the check still fails, this use of Second Wind isn't expended. So they've got the brawler in here now. So we'll take a look at that too when we get to the subclasses. ASI, extra attack, tactical shift. Whenever you activate your Second Wind as your bonus action, you can move up to half your speed without provoking any opportunity attacks. I do love that. That's awesome, especially for fighters. Indomitable, yeah. Okay, Master of Armaments. You're a Master of Weapons. Whenever you finish long rest, you can choose any of the kinds of mastery weapons you're using and replace the mastery property of each with another mastery property. Which is funny because when we were going over the last thing of the fighter, I actually said something like this. See, like changing this here is just kind of a redundancy, I think, because when you finish long rest, you can choose any of them to change. So, then of course, the changes end for you when you finish your next long rest, but you finished a long rest, so you can just leave them the way they are. And the whole thing is these changes apply only for you, not for others. It's your ability. It wouldn't really work for others. It's just weird. Study attacks. Your master will study your opponents and learn from each attack you make. If you make an attack roll against a creature and miss, you have advantage on your next attack roll against that creature before the end of your next turn. That's pretty cool. It's not too bad. I'm going to check something out here. Okay, there we go. Okay, I see. They just didn't add in the 14, 16, 19 in here. Just let you know, hey, you get extra feats at these levels. Okay, got it. All right. Looks pretty interesting. I'm still the confusing thing of like the using the feature, only adding the, normally you get it back after short rest anyway. This is just giving you the extra one because they wanted to add in this ability for tactical mind. But if you fail your check, I don't know. Tactical mind kind of seems eh. You ought to get action surge there anyway, which is already a powerful thing. So tactical mind's kind of pointless to me. I do love the tactical shift, though. That is awesome. I mean, if they wanted to do something else with it, that would be interesting. Like instead of doing for ability check or something like that, they could have it to where you spend your second win to push your companions on towards success or something like that. That you would be able to use, like roll a die 10 plus half your fighter level to add hit points back to a companion or something. And you can still call it tactical mind. All right, Battle Masters, one of my favorite classes of the fighter subclasses. I have a level 20 Battle Master that is dexterity based, actually, as a dex based fighter with 2 weapon fighting, wielding dual rapiers. Yes, he does have the dual wielder feat and 2 weapon fighting style. Which is going to be interesting to see if you can still be able to do that in the new version, the updated version of the books, because it seems like they're really sticking with light weapons a lot. Suit of War now gives you proficiency in a skill instead of just a tool. Know your enemy now allows you to know your creature's damage resistance and immunities and vulnerabilities as a bonus action. That's freaking awesome. A Relentless now allows you to use a maneuver once per turn without expending what? Without expending a superiority die, but the free maneuver uses a D8. That's fine. You're going to be able to do one of your maneuvers every turn for free. Oh. Which is funny because at level 10, your superiority die becomes a D10. So when you get Relentless at level 15, you really don't lose anything. You lose from a D10 down to a D8, but you can use your things every turn. But it is only once per turn, which means that you can still use a free maneuver. Let's see what let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm sorry, that was just really exciting. Well, the character has had for Fandelver, but whips instead of rapiers. Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, maneuvers. You learn 3 maneuvers. Your choice of maneuvers option. One maneuver per attack. Of course, you get 2 more with 7th level, 10th level, and 15th level. Each time you learn new maneuvers, you can also replace one you know with a different one. You have 4 superiority die, which are die 8s. Superiority die is expended when you use it. You regain all expended superiority dice when you finish a long or short rest, like normal. And you get a total of 6 dice when you're at 5th. So you have 6 at 15th level. You have 6 superiority dice that are all d10s. But if you want, you can use a maneuver for free and use a die 8 instead of a die 10 for your superiority dice. Of course, you can only use one maneuver on one attack. So for every attack, you can't use multiple maneuvers on the same attack. That's really helpful. I mean, that's just wow. Wow. Same saving throws is the same. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, because Student of War is, I always thought, oh, it's interesting. You get a tool. You get to learn the thing of artisan's tools, but very rarely are your tools going to come into play in a lot of games. So getting an extra skill is really cool too. I like that. That's nice. Your enemy is a bonus action to discern certain strengths and weaknesses of a creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself. You know whether that creature has any damage immunities, resistances, or vulnerabilities. And if the creature has any, you know what they are. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. You can also restore one use by spending a superiority die. And your superiority die becomes a d12. Main updates from the maneuvers. Oh my gosh, sorry. That's just, wow. So ambush from Tasha's is included. Bait and switch is included. Commander strike no longer uses your bonus action. Commanding presence from Tasha's is included. Disarming attack, distracting strike, goading attack, maneuvering attack, menacing attack, and precision attack now work with any type of attack roll, not just the melee. So if you're like a battle master fighter, multi-class into like a wizard or sorcerer, you can use your maneuvers on your firebolt. Phase of footwork now lasts until the end of your turn, not when you stop moving. Yeah, that's the confusing thing. I'm glad that they're changing some of that around, because making something last until the end of the turn, like for example, some of the scout's abilities. I think it was the scout had the ability to, when creature entered its movement, you could use your reaction to move half of your movement away without provoking attacks of opportunities. Well, technically the creature, if it didn't move its full movement, it hasn't ended its movement, it's just moved to you. It could make the attacks and then continue its movement afterwards. And now I like that they're switching a lot of these wordings to say until the end of your turn, not when you stop moving type of stuff. Lunging attack now lets you take the dash action as a bonus action and adds the superiority die if you hit a creature after moving at least 10 feet in a straight line. Okay. Oh, nice parry. That's really cool. To add your dexterity, strength or dexterity modifier to range to damage reduction. I like the precision attack. Now triggers from missing an attack roll, not before you know if the attack hit or not. I do like that aspect that they're changing that in the playtest materials, where it's no longer a guess. You're no longer, gambling on something. Kind of like using your inspiration in 5th edition as it stands now. Technically, you're supposed to declare your inspiration before you roll. Now, a lot of DMs and players think that it just means you get a free reroll, and they're actually adding that into the way your inspiration works in 5.5. I'm just going to keep saying 5.5 from now on. When you make a roll, if you fail, then you can use your inspiration to roll again. Very similar to the way that they added into Baldur's Gate 3, which is pretty cool. I like that. So now you don't have to guess if your attack is going to hit and then use precision attack when you may not have needed to use it. So now it just triggers for missing an attack roll. Rally now uses your choice of intelligence, wisdom, or charisma when determining the amount of temporary hit points gained. Tactical assessments. Okay. I mean, sorry, I'm going to scroll up here. Once per turn, when you use a maneuver, you can roll a die 8 and use that number instead of expending a superiority die. I'm going to be using ambush every turn and rolling a d8 once you're 15th level or higher. Oh my gosh. So bait and switch. Within 5 feet of a creature on your turn, you can spend one superiority die and switch places with that creature, provided you spend at least 5 feet of movement and the creature is willing and doesn't have the incapacitated condition. This movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Roll the superiority die. Until the start of your next turn, you and the other creature, your choice, gains a bonus to the AC equal to the number rolled. Perfect. Commander strike. When you take an attack action on your turn, you can replace one of your attacks to direct one of your companions to strike. When you do so, choose a willing creature who can see or hear you and expend one superiority die. That creature immediately uses its reaction to make one attack with a weapon or an unarmed strike, adding superiority die to the attack's damage roll on a hit. I like that in 5th edition as it stands because you can use those with your rogue companions to allow your rogue companions to get an extra attack, which means if they hit, they'll get there and they're near you or have advantage on their roll. They can use their sneak attack as well. And adding your superiority die to the attack's damage roll is even more awesome if they crit. Commanding presence is kind of like, eh. I still think they need to make like open up skill, because I do it a lot myself as a DM, because it does mention doing it in Xanathars, which I did before Xanathars even came out, which was to allow barbarians, and like we kind of talked about it last week with the barbarian and being able, they added a special ability to allow them to use strength for like their survival checks and stuff like that. Would have been something nice to have done with the fighter as well, because charisma intimidation doesn't necessarily, like, for example, if someone has an 8 charisma for their character or a 6 charisma, they get a -2 intimidation, which that could be a bonus for intimidation. You know what I mean? A warrior that's very strong may not be very charismatic, but just having that intimidation and presence from their strength. So I always do that, but they really would, but a lot of DMs, especially newer DMs or DMs that haven't only been playing for a few editions or whatever. Yeah, exactly. It's something you've used since 3.5. Yeah. It just, adding it into the game is something that needs to be done, I think, instead of just saying, well, the DM has the option to do it. Because, again, if you're playing with a newer DM or a DM that's not that experienced, or a DM that is more, well, it says here in the book, type of stuff. I mean, which is when you play adventurously, but putting stuff like that in there would be really nice. Because almost every fighter, charisma is going to be their dump stat. Almost every fighter. About 90% of fighters, their charisma is going to be their dump stat. Am I wrong? Disarm the target, yeah. See, now this also becomes a little bit difficult here because they're going to have to change some of the rules or clarify them. And now, I do always talk about how general rules, you have specific rules that break general rules. So this is may just be an example of that. But like, for example, it takes you an action to don or doff a shield. And this right here is like you can make them just drop their shield for basically no action other than your attack roll, and if they fail or save. So it might just be a situation of a specific rule breaking a general rule, which is fine. When you hit a creature with an attack roll, expend superiority die to distract the target. The next attack roll against the target by an attacker other than you has advantage. The attacks made before the start of your next turn. Now, a lot of these are really good, especially once you get to 15th level and you can just use a die 8 instead of a die 10. You can get a free one at each turn. Yeah, I think, though, it's more the general rule, the specific rule breaking the general rule. Because then they're going to have to, if they want to use their shield, they're going to have to use their action to don their shield the next turn. I do like that, yeah. Adding superiority die to your AC. The Feigns, use a creature of 5 feet. If you're your target, you have advantage on your next attack roll against the target this turn. If the attack hits, add the superiority dice. Superiority die to the attack's damage roll. Perfect. Need to trim my mustache. When you hit a creature with an attack roll, you can spend a superiority die to attempt to goad the target into attacking you. I love that they. I love that that's a maneuver, but I really think that that should be something that would be a standard thing. Like instead of using the tactical mind, to where you can get it to expend a second wind dice to try to add it to an ability check, and if it wins, then if it succeeds, then the second wind is expended. But like something like a taunt, because in almost every game, most tanks, which your fighters are basically your tanks in D&D, have some sort of taunt to be able to help the rest of the group, your party, with controlling combat and stuff. But I do like that. I love goading attack. It'd just be nice to take that out of Battle Master and then put it directly into a standard fighter, so that every fighter basically has something similar to this, where instead of spending their superiority die, they spend the second wind die. And of course, you can still leave it in the Battle Master, which makes it more easy for the Battle Master to do it because they have superiority die to add as well. Lunging attack. As a bonus action, you can spend one thing to make a dash action. Move at least 10 feet in a straight line immediately before hitting with a melee attack as part of the attack action on this turn. You add the superiority die to the attack damage roll. Use a creature with attack roll. You can spend one superiority die to maneuver one of your comrades into another position. Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing. Let me double check. Sorry, I've got D&D Beyond pulled up looking at the older version of it. Because I think that maneuver, yeah, it's pretty much the same. Menacing attack. When you hit a creature with an attack roll, you can spend one superiority die to attempt to frighten it. Yep. Parry. I like that you can use it. You can add your strength and dex to the parry now. That's really nice too. You miss with an attack roll, you can spend with superiority die to add to the attack roll, potentially calls into hit. That's good. Okay, as a bonus action, you spend one superiority die to bolster the resolve of a companion. Choose an ally of yours who can see or hear you. That creature gains temporary hit points equal to the superiority die roll, plus your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma modifier, your choice. Again, it'd be like a con modifier for a fighter or something. Constitution, you're rallying them, not necessarily inspiring them. I don't know. Because again, a lot of these stats are dump stats for fighters. Because sometimes maybe dexterity because of the fact that once you get into heavy armor, you're not getting any dex bonus. But post misses you with attack roll. Use reaction to expend a die to make the attack. See, I like for example, tactical assessment. It's not a horrible maneuver, but it's not really a maneuver. You know what I mean? It's not a maneuver in combat. I guess you could argue that rally technically wouldn't be a maneuver as well. But like tactical assessment when they're doing a tactical mind, maybe something even that might be better. It does kind of narrow it down to specific skill checks where it might be better used if it allows it to any skill that they're proficient with. Making a tactical assessment of whatever skill you might have, doesn't have to necessarily be a history or investigation or an insight. Tactical assessment, why would that not work on perception? I think that's from Tasha's, right? Sorry, I'm going to scroll up here. Yeah. Of course, trip attack. Love trip attack. One of my favorite ones. All right. Wow. I don't have, like I said, most of it's all just first initial reaction to some of the stuff. But man, I love what they've done with the Battle Master. That whole level 15 being able to have a free use every turn, once a turn. Pretty nice. Okay, Brawlers. 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide will include magic items that enhance unarmed strikes and improvised weapons. These items will support the Monk, Brawler Fighter, and College of Dance Bard, along with other characters who rely on unarmed strikes or improvised weapons. Wow, they're really standing firm on that College of Dance Bard. Yeah, the only thing that really, other than the monk's ability to have their things be magical, is what was it? The necklace, the +1. I think it's from Tyranny of Dragons. That would make your attacks magical and add +1 to your unarmed strikes. That's good. They're going to add some extra stuff in there, like leather wraps or cloth wraps, something like that. All right, so Brawlers focus their training and studying out on swordplay and battle tactics upon the skills needed to turn punch or kick into brutal strike and object into deadly weapon. Thrive in tavern scuffles, street rumbles, espionage, wielding warrior objects, deadness of an assassin's knife. All right, so level 3, you can roll dice 6 plus your strength modifier in place of the normal damage of your unarmed strike. If you aren't holding any weapons or a shield when you make the attack roll, the d6 becomes a d8. Improvised expert. You're proficient with improvised weapons. Whenever, I'm sorry. That's just funny to me because the whole point of being improvised is that you don't have proficiency. But anyway, when you finish a long rest, choose one weapon property from the one-handed list or from the two-handed list. until the end of your next long rest. The one-handed weapon choice applies to the one-handed improvised weapon you wield. The two-handed weapon choice applies to the two-handed ones. In addition, whenever you attack with an improvised weapon, you can give it one of the following mastery properties for that attack, depending on whether it will be wielded in one hand or two. Grappling expert, extra bonus action. This should scale. The extra at the start of your turns that you can automatically deal damage, that should scale up. Efficiency bonus to the damage roll. Die 10. Cool. Well, that looks fun. It's a brand new class, so I'm not sure exactly, how powerful. Like I always kind of rate the new subclasses by the similar abilities of other subclasses, what they get and what powers they get at certain levels. Like we went through, I think it was the barbarian. A couple of the barbarian subclasses were like not even close to being on par with some of the other ones. Because the thing is that I know that they want people to play a lot of different classes and a lot of different subclasses. They want them all to be viable, and the thing to make them all viable is make them each do something that's really, really cool that the others cannot do, but don't make them rely on just that one cool thing because all the rest of their stuff is not very good. All right, champion. Remarkable athlete replaces adaptable victor and moves to level 3. Now grants advantage on initiative rolls and strength athletics checks, in addition to increasing long jump distance. Broke advantage at the start of each of your turns in combat. Improved crit. Another fighting style. So basically every turn you can spend your heroic advantage, and at the beginning of your next turn, if you don't have it, you start with it. You get it back. That's pretty powerful. That's pretty interesting. Pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Yep. Still love champions. Still the best subclass for a new player to play. One of the things I always do is I either give them a rogue and then have them go into the thief subclass, or fighter and have them go to the champion subclass to learn the basics of the game if they've never played the game before, and then eventually start working with like the full caster classes, like a wizard or a sorcerer, so that they can understand. Like, it's very confusing for some people when they first begin to play D&D. Like, okay, that's a 9th level spell. That means I just have to be a 9th level wizard to cast a 9th level spell. No. Well, I'm 3rd level. Why can't I cast a fireball? That's the third level spell. That's, I trying to explain to them the spell lists and such like that and how they get their spells. Uh, that's why I always, like I said, give somebody a fighter champion or a rogue thief to start off the game just so they can learn the basics and not be too bogged down with having to learn a bunch of extra stuff. It allows them to learn a little bit easier. Yep, champion's still great. All right, here are the main updates. Contains no School of Magic restrictions after level 3 of the subclass. That's nice. Moreover, the fighter can now change one cantrip when gaining a level, and the fighter can use an arcane focus. War Magic now allows you to replace one of your attacks with casting a cantrip, allowing the Eldritch Knight to weave magic into their attacks. I like that because it was really difficult. See here, Eldritch Knight. What was the one? Yeah, basically, if you use your action to cast a cantrip, you could make one weapon attack as a bonus action, and that really became problematic when you get to higher levels and you have multiple attacks. You're just better off attacking with your weapon. But now that you can replace one of your attacks with casting a cantrip, that's really cool. You replace two of your attacks with casting a level 1 or level 2 spell. Ooh, that's interesting. So when are they getting that? We'll get to it. It definitely needs to be at least probably their. I hope not their 10th, because I don't think you get your third attack until 11th level as a fighter. It might be their 15th level ability. Spell casting, 2 cantrips in the wizard list. Reach 10th level in this class, you learn another wizard cantrip, so you get 3 cantrips. That's really cool. I was hoping that they were going to change it to where you would get up to 5th level spells very similar to a paladin and a ranger. To be honest, once you get to, what does it say here? No magic restriction after level 3 of the subclass. Personally, I think they should just get rid of that whole thing that you have to be from abjuration and evocation schools when you first start. That, again, like I said, most of this is just my opinion. Whenever you level, you can replace the spell. One spell. Now, obviously, if you're going to play an Eldritch Knight, intelligence is not going to be your dump stat. And use an arcane focus. Interesting that it did not give them ritual casting, which is pretty cool, I guess. But you do still get a ritual here. I think it's pretty close to the same as it was before. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of the attacks with the casting of one of your wizard cantrips. It has a casting time of an action. I like that. Makes it a lot easier because most of the time people wouldn't use it the way it was previously because they're like, well, if I got 2 attacks, my cantrip's not going to do as much damage as my other attack, so. Yeah. Oh, I mean, the level 18 thing, okay. Now, here's the thing that they didn't change. They did not. It said with a casting of level 1 or 2 spell, and you have up to 3rd level spells at 18th level, and then you get 4th level spells at 19th and 20th. They said it in the changes, but they didn't say it down here. When you make the attack action, when you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace 2 of the attacks with a casting of 1 of your wizard spells that has a casting time of an action. I like that better, especially at 18th level. Instead of you can only cast the 1st or 2nd level spell. I like that they could still make 1 attack, and then of course at 20th level they get 4 attacks, so they can still use 2 attacks, melee attacks, and then cast a spell. That's cool. I like that a lot. Well, we have Sorcerer here, and it is getting close to the top of the hour, so I think we're going to hold off to work on Sorcerer next week. I do have to take care of a little bit of writing and such today. So we are on page 18. Very much like the fighter. The brawler looks interesting. It'd be interesting to maybe give it a try to play sometime if I ever have a chance to play. But yeah, it is pretty close to the top of the hour, getting close. So I'm going to go ahead and call the stream for today. We will be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, for our dungeon delving stream, where we'll be playing some Baldur's Gate 3 tomorrow and Friday. And then Sunday, we'll be back Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern to have our first session of Phandelver Below, the Shattered Obelisk. So that should be a lot of fun. We've made 3 of the characters last night. We still have another one to make, and we might be adding a 5th person in to play as well. So we're going to see how that works out. But of course, thanks to all of our supporters, especially our patrons from Patreon. If you'd like to help support the channel, please consider becoming a patron or subbing here on Twitch, twitch.tv/themasterofdungeons. It is September right now, 20% off a 1-month sub, 25% off 3 months, 30% off 6 months, and then starting on Monday, the 25th, there'll be 25% off gift subs as well, so you can gift other subs to members of the community. Of course, the link to our Patreon page, as well as our YouTube channel and all of our social media accounts, can be found in the About Us section below here on Twitch. If you want to subscribe to us on YouTube, like and comment on the videos, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Give us likes, retweets, all of that good stuff. Every sub, like, and share helps us immensely. If you want to join the Master of Dungeons Discord community server, you can do that in the About Us section below. Just click on the Discord panel, and you can join the Discord server, where you can help shape an accepting, caring, and inclusive community. We also have a merch store available. That's also down below here on the Twitch channel. T-shirts, glassware, things like that. Purchasing anything from the merch store will definitely help support the channel. But we will be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern with some dungeon delving. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. As always, happy adventuring.